excited and honored today to be in conversation with Scot Guariglia. Thank you for being here, Scott. Scott is the visionary behind Divine Geometrical Universe, a platform dedicated to exploring the profound impact of sacred geometry. Originally from Illinois, USA, and now based near Memphis, Mississippi, Scott's journey spans decades of research, engineering, and publishing, all converging in his deep passion for geometric harmony and universal order. With 9 years of research at Caterpillar Tractor Company, 22 years as a broadcast engineer at Week TV 25 in Peoria, and 12 years as a magazine publisher, Scott brings a unique blend of technical expertise and metaphysical insight. As the author of A Remission Through Divine Order, he delves into the transformative power of sacred geometry, particularly through the use of pi ratio pyramids and dodecahedrons for personal energy alignment and healing. Through Divine Geometrical Universe, Scott shares his discoveries on how these ancient forms resonate with universal energies, influencing consciousness, well being, and even the very fabric of reality. Please join us as we explore his extraordinary journey and unlock the secrets of sacred geometry. So, here you are, Scott.
Oh, thank you so much for the invite.
Yeah, my pleasure. So, first question is, can you share your journey into the world of sacred geometry and what inspired you to establish the divine geometrical universe?
Well, for me, it began, I made a pyramid out of a cardboard milk carton back when I was just a young man, a young teenager. And I'll be 68 in a month and a half. So it's been a long journey. And I'll tell you what, I felt the energy over the top of that pyramid. And I thought, what is this mystical thing that's happening here? It's so magical and doesn't really fit in with anything I've ever seen before. So progressing from there, I made pyramids out of plywood. I made them out of plaster. I made them out of PVC pipe and eventually made one out of copper, which was my final design that I've used for about 45 years, whereby I can integrate a crystal sphere on the very apex top of the pyramid itself, which really defines the energy of the form. You can put different spheres up there for different effects, but it really taught me that this energy is real because it's 100%. In fact, I used to be in research at Caterpillar Tractor Company. Every day I got home from work, without fail, I'd get in that pyramid for 25 to 30 minutes and it would regenerate me to feel just like I just got up in the morning for the very first time. But then proceeding from the pyramid, I went into the Platonic solids. I was looking at Plato's alchemical associations with each of the forms, and I was mystified by the fact that he had associated the dodecahedron with our etheric realm, the non-local quantum state. So given that, I made one six and a half feet around and put crystals in all the apex points of it. And literally that has changed my life.
Wow. I can say there is something common between us. Even I started making my first pyramid, it was a plastic one. So, and that shook my head actually, really. It was very powerful. And I was working with PVC. I haven't made one of copper yet, but it is really powerful. I do agree with you. It's really powerful. So let us go to the second question. For those unfamiliar, what is meant by sacred geometry and why is it considered significant in spiritual and scientific realms?
Well, sacred geometry is the basis of our existence. We're talking about patterns of universal order, the blueprints of creation. I think of sacred geometry as the language of the divine. It's like our bridge between God and this world. It has a crucial control in the influence on the creation of matter itself, whether it's crystals, particularly in life. I had found a rendition of the cell, and that all the components are based on sacred geometry. If you look at the greatest expenditure of effort for humanity all over the world, pyramids are probably number one. And there's a reason for that, yet our culture has an amnesia. It's like we've forgotten what these sacred geometrical forms represent. When people are on plant medicines, they typically see sacred geometrical forms. And when people are in my forms, they see sacred geometrical forms, even without the plant medicine. So it's a very important thing to understand.
How do you believe Platonic solids influence human consciousness and well-being?
Well, our consciousness actually has a quantum component to it. I know that gets into some deep physics there, but since that's the fundamental aspect of our existence, I think that the Platonic solids come into play with their alchemical associations. Um, let's say our DNA, for example, is in the shape of the dodecahedron, and that's a transmitter and receiver for information between quantum state and our physical existence. But even your emotional trauma and blocks dissolve into it because we attract that. It's like a stream of possibilities that runs through our reality, and whatever we associate with becomes a part of our process. But the Platonic solids, if we look at them, the cube is associated with the earth, the tetrahedron is fire, icosahedron is water, octahedron is air. And then the fifth element, that's the one that was taken out of the periodic table, it seems, back at the turn of the century, which is the most mystical of them all, the dodecahedron.
Next question would be, could you explain the concept of space-time geometric modulation and its practical applications in daily life?
Yes. Now, AI gave me that term because I told AI what experiences people have had. And it says, well, that's space-time geometric modulation. That's a very fringe terminology, which goes into the leading edge of what physics understands today. Oh my goodness, the things that this can reveal to us. Given that, I've queried AI as to the potential implications of this, and it gets into everything about communication, encoding GPS. They say that we would be working with the fabric of phase-time. So instead of just amplitude and frequency modulation, we'd be looking at another component for communication systems, which would be primarily unhackable. And it would also, I know it lends itself to material design. It would go into medicine for very precise surgeries and things like that. There is no limit or aspect of humanity that wouldn't be affected by it.
Scott, so our next question is, please explain about dodecahedrons and how beneficial these are and what makes them so special.
Yes, the aspect of being able to connect with the etheric realm directly in quantum state has potential for changing humanity as we know of it. Some of actually, I want to list what people have explained to me and also from personal experience. One lady said, I've done drugs my whole life and never had an out-of-body experience until now. I thought that was profound. So out-of-body experiences are probably 40 to 50% of the people in there. In fact, one lady brought her husband. He came in for the session. She was sitting outside of it, but these forms radiate energy. She had an out-of-body experience and was terrified, but didn't mention it at the time and texted me the next day, said, it was like I went into the center of the earth and was very afraid of it. And then when I explained that it's normal to go out of body, because that's going into the etheric, she felt better about it. But I've actually had my visual field light up in the dark with my eyes closed multiple times, and a friend of mine saw that happen and said your whole body lit up. People have seen angels. They've also seen their past lives. Some people have seen aliens, actually only good ones though. Sometimes it's trick surgeons that have worked on them and they come out and they go, I think I'm completely healed. The the external fields of the form are of different frequencies, each one a different color that my son saw. Missing time is very predominant. I had a dentist who wanted to check this out once, and he came over and I said, "Look at your watch." And he said, "Okay." He was in there like an hour and 10, 15 minutes, and swore when I woke him up or brought him out of it that he was only in there for 5 minutes. It's kind of like sleep, but it's not. Your visual field is all full of this information and forms and things at times, but it has an extreme regeneration effect. So I used to use the pyramid for that, but now I use the dodecahedron. So about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I might feel that my energy is a bit extended if I've worked myself mentally or physically or both. I can regenerate it just like I got up in the morning in about 25 minutes, right around that. You always get an electric tingling effect. So it's like electricity running through your body. And the effect can last typically up to 5 days after a 45-minute session. And then there's the detoxing events. But the big thing is that divine connection. What I think of it as God. And the more aligned you are with universal, absolute, perfect, unconditional love, that light comes in. And I always think in that state, if everybody on the planet could experience this even for just a few minutes, it could change the dynamic of the way we operate globally and eliminate a lot of the problems and dysfunctions people have.
It would raise the consciousness.
Yes.
And do you think that adding any quartz crystal or anything, maybe magnet at the apex points is going to change anything?
Yeah, with the pyramid, I put a magnet on there, north and south, aligned with the alignment of the way it is with the poles of the earth, and made my heart skip. Any kind of well, changing things, trying to electrify it. It seems it works best just to leave it alone with the natural flow of eventuality as it's plugged into quantum state for the best and most calming experience. That's another effect of the dodecahedron and Metatron's cube, and actually the pyramid as well. It's extremely calming because you're going into other states, leaving your body behind for regeneration while you're out having exploration and fun and adventure. So that's what I love about it.
So inspiring, so inspiring.
Oh my goodness. Well, when I first put that, I got to go to the Metatron's cube is even beyond the dodecahedron, but the dodecahedron is a component of that. That is a system whereby I've integrated all the platonic solids into one synergistic system. With that, we're looking at a perfect balance. And I was in that last night. It was too powerful. I couldn't even stay in there. 3 hours was max. I even had a dream that I had to get out of it, which extremely powerful. But the learning about these energies is intriguing. People often go into Reiki for healing remotely and on site, but I went I went a little beyond that at one point. I'll give you a story that people aren't aware of. My late wife, she passed away about 6 years ago of colorectal cancer, but there was over 2 decades where I could combine my energy systems with hers. And I worked in broadcast television, so I'd be at the station at 3:30 in the morning. And while I'm sitting there calmly, I play with energy because I do that. And I found that I could take the chakra centers and create an infinity sign between hers and mine, imagining hers as a point of light, mine as a point of light, and then rotate that in a vortex to bring them together as one. Then I would tactically feel the feedback that I had achieved the connection through that tactile sense, the same one that I used to feel the pyramid and all the forms. So by connecting the heart chakra as well, I could call her up within a minute or two of her awakening and tell her good morning. And I could tell when she exerted herself, when she took a bath, whenever she did anything. I thought, oh my God, if people knew this, they'd probably capture me for some kind of study or something. But it was almost 100% accurate. I was fascinated by it. It was incredible.
And the best part is these are all passive devices, you know. So you are not using any electricity. It's nothing, no brainer tech. That is the best part about it. Scott, going to the next question. You offer large scale platonic solids for sale. What considerations go into crafting these structures to ensure they resonate with universal energies?
Well, first of all, it's precise accuracy. I try to get within 1 millimeter accuracy with everything that I do. Sometimes even a little less than that. Very, very careful of precision. That way they will resonate to their maximum capacity. I've also found that integrating quartz crystals at the nodal points, any nexus point of a component, if we add in the crystal, it seems to amplify it even further. But there's one part of this equation, again, you gotta really love the way this works. When one of my sons was born, and I had my wife get in a pyramid before he was born, and she thought something was wrong with the baby at one point and everything. But when he was born, he had this magical vision. He could see the energy of the forms, and he could see the energy around people. He could see entities at graveyards. We had a very interesting investigation for years relative to his dreams about what I was doing and what he could see. So he showed me how to orient, for example, the dodecahedron appropriately so that geopositioned, those energy fields would lock precisely into the 12 open faces of the pipe form. So what I did is I took that further with Metatron's cube and matched all these forms together for a synergistic relationship. If people don't have this access to this information that I've never read anywhere, they wouldn't even know how to put them together, even if they made them.
Means technical specifications are very important to, you know, get the maximum benefit out of a structure.
Yes.
Okay. So going to the next question, Scott, how does the nesting of the 5 platonic solids as seen in your real life 3D Metatron's cube enhance their energetic properties?
Well, that balance of elemental energetics really lends itself to the synergy that, well, God's provided to us, creator, however you attempt to look at it. I think of God as the singularity, the programmer of our reality on the event horizon. And it's the synergy of the elements. We experience this in daily life, but emotional trauma you can pick up, I mean, just with thoughts and things start to distort your field. I mean, it becomes your thoughts we're projecting into reality and into ourselves at the same time. I think these forms actually reestablish your DNA and connections to our physical existence, balancing the chakras along the way.
Scott, do you point the apex towards any chakras or something like that? Is there a proper sort of alignment?
No, because when you're in the forms, it works on everything all at once.
Okay,
Really.
fine. Yeah. So the next question is, can you discuss any measurable effects or testimonials from individuals who have incorporated these geometric forms into their personal or therapeutic practices?
This is an interesting and very diverse question. I've only sold one form to a practitioner, an MD, and she lives two lives, so it's kind of like this hidden life of metaphysics, and is connected to her regular life as a medical doctor. So she's very reserved about putting out, and because of confidentiality, any information about this. But on site here where I'm at, we do at the moment have a device called the biopulsar reflexograph, which you put your hand on this pad and then it shows you your energy field live in real time. Now that is a really interesting way to see therapeutic results. I had a lady who stopped by, and she's a therapist as well, psychotherapist. And she got in my dodecahedron for 7 minutes. We took a before and after reading and saw a significant change there measurably in just a 7 minute session. And also she explained how she could still feel the electrical energy running through her body.
Incredible.
from that 7 minutes.
Really, there is a lot to be tested actually, how people are feeling, and there are so many things which can be done to verify what is happening to people. And the best part is it is passive. That is, I would say the selling point. It's a passive unit.
Now it plugs into quantum state directly. You
Yes,
don't have to plug it into a wall.
yes. So going to the next question, Scott. Beyond physical structures, do you explore other mediums or technologies to convey the principles of sacred geometry?
Well, I work with a coil with a PEMF device input, similar to what you showed me on your wall, with pulsed electromagnetic field therapy inputting. 528 hertz is a really good frequency, working with solfeggio frequencies. And there is a direct relationship between that. You can look at with cymatics and how sound produces these forms related to sacred geometry. So there is an inner connection there between sacred geometry and that. Also, when I'm in the forms, I like to play music. I did that last night. And solfeggio frequency incorporation into orchestrated presentations, audio presentations is one of my favorite. And that's how I keep people on cue. So we always have a positive experience because the dodecahedron, for example, is a portal. So is the pyramid between worlds. And we want that to be a positive experience. So all these things work hand in hand in that regard.
Yes, yes. So for those new to sacred geometry, what practices or steps would you recommend to begin integrating these concepts into their lives for healing and personal growth?
I would say make your first pyramid. And to me, the relationship, the aspect ratio should be like the Great Pyramid built on pi, which is 3.141592653.5, and on and on. It's an infinite number. Actually, they say that represents all every name you could ever pick for yourself or anybody else. And it sort of encapsulates the universe itself within the diverse infinite number pattern. So I would say make that first pyramid. But if you want to go into nature, if you put your back against a tree, imagine a light above that tree, the streaming light of all creation, imbuing and helping that tree to survive, then going into the root system to all the other trees around, and then exchange energy between that tree and all its connections, and watch what happens with your spine and the energy. It's just phenomenal how healing that can be.
Yes, yes. Scott, so as per your experience, what do you feel like the PVC made sacred geometry structures or metallic structures, which ones are more powerful according to you?
I found the copper works better than anything else. And I've got another friend, he thinks wood is just as good, but I don't know if he's made too many out of copper yet. But
Okay.
the copper is so precise and
Mhm.
it's not going to warp, and there's no moisture component. I mean, it is what it is, and it's very solid.
So doesn't the oxidation of copper affect it negatively?
Not even a bit. And some people ask me, they say, well, you got to make sure all your connectors are copper and everything, but it's not an electrical circuit, and it really hasn't. You can, because you can make them out of non-conductive materials. Even the stone of the Great Pyramids, is non-conductive, although there's a quartz component to the internal
Mhm.
granite and other stones in there.
Mhm.
So it doesn't have to be copper. It can be any form. It's form and function, basically.
Okay. It would be really nice to try these structures for emotional release, the past regression therapies, and it's a really powerful tool. So, going to the last question for today, how can people personally experience these sacred geometries through your work? What offerings or opportunities do you provide for those interested?
Well, if they can come out to Lake Cormorant, Mississippi, they can get a firsthand experience of the Metatron's cube. I'm working with companies to get parts replicated. I'm also thinking about when I get all the connectors replaced and streamlined, which shouldn't be more than 2 or 3 weeks. I'm going to take the whole thing down, clean it up, paint the support system, and see if it'll fit in my car to take down to Florida. I was down there all of February with a friend and set up the dodecahedron sound system outside in front of a holistic food store. I took a pyramid and showed the owner what it did. He goes, "Oh my gosh," set up a tent outside and gave me the whole parking lot and sidewalk to work with people. Even with busy traffic, people in that dodecahedron had phenomenal experiences. I mean, you can have out of body experiences. Your vision can light up. And I've seen the light of God on my eyes in the dark with my eyes shut, and had a friend that actually visually saw me do that. She said, "Your whole body lit up."
What is the recommended usage time do you suggest to see any benefits out of it?
Well, that 7-minute session showed a bit of an impact, but I suggest 30 minutes to an hour. Some people I'll put in there an hour and 10 minutes because a missing time is one of those effects of it. And typically they think they're only in there for 10 minutes, even if it's an hour and 20 minutes. So, but a first time I wouldn't overdo it because you can get detox reactions like similar to a flu. Just not feeling well as your body starts to remove the toxic materials out of the bones and brain and everything.
That's great. It's such a good information. And I really request the viewers to have a look at your website. All the details would be added in the video section, and they can check out the details and reach out to you, check what all you do and what all you have to offer. And it was such a privilege to have you on my show. Thank you so much for being here today.
Well, thank you so much.
Become more than a 3D projection of yourself. Discover the energy of the universe within you, new abilities, better health, greater sensory perception, other worlds, dimensions, and fascination with life here and beyond. There is so much more to us than meets the eye. Welcome to Divine Geometrical Universe.